Hi, hello, this is Shilpa here. Today I'll talk about a case which was taken about 4 years back. And I call it my stuck case because I had a very steep learning curve since this particular case. She was a 57-year-old female who came to see me, and she presented with a lot of different symptoms. So she mentioned that they were very similar to the symptoms she had when she suffered from glandular fever about 20 years back. And since then, like, she's been to multiple doctors, practitioners, alternative therapists, and none of the treatments have actually worked for her. So she was really very frustrated and, very drained, dragged, and she felt very rock bottom, disconnected. She said her body and her brain, they just cannot go together. Now, there were quite a few symptoms she mentioned, so I've just sort of outlined what were the main things she actually said. And she said she was constantly exhausted with these muscle cramps and aches in her feet and toes, and she was very sensitive to cold and very cold fingertips. She couldn't find any shoe which was comfortable. She had constant urinary tract infections. She was thirsty all the time, dehydrated in spite of drinking a lot of water, and she had low blood pressure. She had salty taste in her mouth all the time. And there were a lot of morning sort of aching stiffness in the morning when she woke up, and she found it very difficult to find a comfortable position even on a very expensive mattress. There was a particular mattress with a sleep number, but there was nothing which worked. She had difficulty in sleeping, constant desire to urinate, and she said she was better when she started moving. So quite a few symptoms and complaints. Something about her past history. She mentioned she was a breech baby and she's always had difficult operations then, including an appendectomy, which was very young, 6 weeks. She had acid reflux, and she had this glandular fever 20 years back, and that's all she could really remember when everything started happening. Now, she was taking a lot of homeopathics, and they were in the form of combinations, and there were about 20 homeopathics, including all the major polycrest I could ever think of. It was sold by a naturopath as a box. She purchased that every month, and she took it every day. And then she had a huge list of tonics and antacids for her GIT complaints. And she also went to a physiotherapist for exercises, for helping with her core strength and flexibility. So there were quite a few other things going on. And then I asked her about her emotional state, and it was actually her first real homeopathic consult in person, because otherwise it was just off the counter or prescribed by a naturopath. And then she went on explaining her emotional state in quite a great detail. It was basically, it was all she spoke about, and I just felt she needed that release, and which was what I was that was basically what I actually do in the first consult. So just let them speak what they want to, and it's like not many questions are asked, because but I found that she went on and on about the same things. There were lots of repetitions, but I never really asked a lot of questions then. Now, for me, I thought because it was her first experience with a real homeopathic consultation, and all she was really concerned about was getting her glandular fever symptoms settled. And I just realized so many symptoms, so many common, peculiar, lots of suppressions possibly from other drugs and combination of homeopathics taken for months on end. I thought it wasn't the right time. I was actually sure about the main picture at that stage, because although there was such a lot of information, it wasn't actually connected in any way for me. So I thought, let's just start off with a very basic remedy. And that was when I thought, she's mentioned about this whole thing starting from glandular fever, so why not go with that? Because I thought we'll stay with her comfort zone, use a prescription for not well since glandular fever, and I thought about this nosode. And there were lots of other approaches which came to my mind. One was obviously the Burnett's method of trying to trace a nose or to a particular not well since problem, and also about Hahnemann's miasmatic theory, where not well since something and you could offer an intercurrent at that particular point. Never actually used this sort of remedy before, but I thought it was well worth it because there wasn't actually a lot of information anyway for me to actually make a totality at that point. So she comes back, and I'm surprised because she says I'm very much better. The energy is gone up, the digestion is okay, the aches in the joints were gone, the thirst was really much better, she was not urinating as much, and she feels there's no urgency coming. And she was actually pleased that I nailed it. And I really thought, I actually haven't actually done much. But I said, all right, so we'll wait and watch. Come back when the symptoms actually come back. So that was how we left it. Now it's interesting at that point how I didn't really go further. I didn't really look for any more questions, any more information to get to the depth of the case. And she comes back after a few days, and she comes with lots of tests. So which were from her GP. So there was high zinc, marginally high TSH, acid reflux tests were all abnormal. There was high amylase, high lipase. And then she said, could we do something about this? Now she had already started antacids, and then she had a list of other symptoms. The eyes were muggy and itchy. There was tightness in her throat. Then she said she had chocolate cake last night and a bit of burning. This acid reflux is more aggravated on having rich meals. And whatever I'm doing, it doesn't really make it go away with the medications she's on. And then I asked her about an emotional state, and again, we went on for an hour. In fact, she went on with the whole explanation of, she's had a few deaths in the family. So her father-in-law died recently, which was something where she was really close to her father-in-law, and she nursed him in the end. Death of her pets, craving for sweets and chocolates and biscuits when she's now down and depressed. And she has these sore spots all over her body, which could have been due to fibromyalgia. And for me, I just stepped back and I didn't take any lead. I just she went on with the symptoms and I just noted them down. And for me, it was because her state was so dragged down and exhausting. For me, I was thinking, I don't want to exhaust her anymore. Let her just, bring it out. And I tried the Bonninghausen analysis because I thought, let's just break it down into these 4 important things: location, sensation, modalities, and quite a few concomitants here. So I took these important symptoms: retrosternal throat, that was my location, because I thought she needs something for her reflux. Let's concentrate on that. So there was tightness, burning, pinching. Modalities were ailments from rich meals, better by burping, but again it builds up. And then quite a few concomitants. Ailments from death of loved ones, desires for chocolates and sweets and biscuits, stiffness in the joints, tender spots on the body, puffy hands, legs and fingers, salty taste in the mouth, and allergies in the eyes and throat. And then I had this analysis done, and a clear remedy came up in pulsatilla. So for me, it was a stage 2 analysis. So I thought, let's concentrate on this and go with pulsatilla. So she was given pulsatilla 30 because it was given in a low potency at a lower stage twice a day for 7 days and come back. It was similar to prescriptions I used to make long ago as when I had that a GP practice in India. So I gave her pulsatilla. She comes back after 2 weeks. The stomach's better. The thirst is settled. There are no urinary tract infections. I'm doing physiotherapy, stretching, and my muscles are a bit sore. The sleep's good. I seem to be sleeping a lot now because I don't go to the loo, and it's also helped with my sleep pattern. And then she's had butter chicken yesterday, which and she could deal with that, which wasn't too comfortable. So obviously the GIT symptoms were settling, but she says the eyes are gritty now, the itching, but there are no more headaches with that hay fever. I'm getting back some old symptoms, which was interesting. Some symptoms she's had long back when things weren't right 5 years ago, but she mentioned she was feeling a bit stronger. The bed is now okay. The same mattress is now fine and comfortable, and she's not waking up with that stiffness. But she still is waking with joints and muscles which are stiff in the other parts of the body. Emotionally, she's not teary. She's just plodding along, and she has a bit of cystitis, and the skin in her fingers is very dry. So there was some amelioration, and there was some symptoms which were the same. And I don't do anything. I just say, we'll wait and watch and see what happens. So now this is the follow-up, I think 2 months later, because she went away for some time and then she comes back again. And then she says she has been quite okay. Digestion-wise, allergies-wise, breathing was fine. The sinuses didn't come back, so that was good. She was more or less emotionally stable. But the stomach is still distended and my skin's still dry. And my muscles are still painful and stiff, and the massage helps me, and my physiotherapy helps me. But that's how the state's at the moment. Now, at this moment, again, I dreaded taking her emotional history because I thought, again, if I go there, I might not be able to stop her. And then I thought, look, some remedies are working anyway. So glandular fever knows what I gave her 1 dose, and I gave her pulsatilla 200. Take it as and when needed, and come back if there's a problem. But the thing was, we left it at that. And she called me. She never came back. She called me on the phone. And she mentioned she was okay, and she just sort of wanted to have the remedies posted to her at intervals. And then I realized, what's happening here? It's like, all right, she's far from reaching ideal health, but she's heaps better, and she still wants to be in touch with me. However, she now feels the need to just have the remedies posted to her as and when symptoms come and go. So I did meet the expectations of her as a client, her immediate needs. And obviously homeopathy gave her something which no other therapy actually gave her before. She got her energy back. She got her acid symptoms under control. She got more or less, out of that draggy state. However, we could not communicate anything further because definitely homeopathy has the potential to offer something much more. And I'm using it in so many of my other clients. So what happened? What was it which stopped? Was it like I assumed that it was not for her? Or what was stopping me from growing any further? And then I realized it was like if she had asked me that I need something much more, I need this thing gone completely and sustained without having these symptoms come back again and again, then I would have been stuck. Because the only reason I was stopping myself because I thought, well, I have to take her through the whole process, and is she ready for it? And then I realized this case last week where this particular man pushed me to take the lead and complete the process for him. It was intimidating for me because it was facing my own worst fear as a practitioner. It was like there is a resistance somewhere, and should I enter it? It's like this is a barrier, and we need to break this barrier, which is like a safety protective mechanism, and you can't go beyond that. And if I break that barrier, I'm just intruding. And for me, I think that is my worst fear of going and stretching a patient beyond their comfort zone, assuming that that's necessary. So I could use that and break that for that patient. And it was an aha moment for me, because it was intimidating for me as well. And it was facing my worst fear as much it was intimidating for the patient. But at the end, there was this amazing, deeper relief and this whole clarity, which was really wonderful. It was resolving and going beyond and being able to help that patient, which I didn't do then. So it's like that process, and I just followed that first step. I kept going on in a comfort zone, and I gave her whatever she needed. I didn't take the lead and went beyond to really complete the process for her. So it's like, how determined are you to take that lead? For me, I think now it's worth it, because it was a part of my healing, and I just thought that's exactly what was missing in that particular case. So what I would love your ideas on this. How, with your patient, when things are stuck, do you take the lead and go ahead, or do you just stop and assume, well, that's it, that's for me and my client? But I just think it's worth it if you go beyond. Thank you so much. I hope you get something out of this case, because I have personally got such a lot, and I just wanted it to share with you. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.